Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you guys are. Guys, I hope you guys are staying safe, keeping well, wherever you guys are. Guys, as I always, please smash the like button on this video. As you guys know, it really helps me. It really helps my channel get out there. So make sure to smash the like button, guys. I've seen that the likes have dropped a little bit. So please hit the like button. Hit the like button for me. As many of you, and not just that, it also shows me how many of you are watching the video. So when you smash the like button, it also shows me how many are watching. So that helps me as well. Keeps me motivated. So yeah, if you could please smash that like button. But guys, I want to get straight into the video. Guys, yesterday I had, I made a Demetrius Andrade video, and the fact that Demetrius Andrade has offered $1 million to Chris Eubank for a fight. I had Dan Sosa, who's actually been, I think he's been a subscriber for a while now, and he made a few comments in the comment section that saying, Imran, why does he have to fight Janibek? Chris Eubank's a more is a bigger name, it's a bigger fight. And we went back and forth, and he was giving his part. Obviously, I think Dan Sosa likes Andrade, which is nothing wrong. That I like certain fighters, and I've always kept it real on Andrade. I've given him a lot of credit in the past. I've got to the point where I kind of run out of patience with him. Now, Dan, you made a point about the fact that Andrade, Andrade's been avoided. Yes, I agree. Andrade has been avoided. He has been a fighter that, people have avoided him. The problem is I don't want to keep going over all ground. If you remember, Dan, I made videos about those when the fact that Charlo was ducking him, avoiding him, and I was criticizing Charlo. The fact is we've gone past that stage now. We're now at a stage where Andrade is the one that's doing the avoiding. The problem I have is I don't think you can make an excuse about Andrade avoiding Janibek, but then on the same hand saying, well, Andrade's been avoided by everybody else. I don't think that makes sense. Now, what I mean by that is I feel like Demetrius Andrade has been avoided. But now he's in the position of somebody. Janibek is also in a position where he's got nothing to lose. Janibek's got nothing to lose. He wants to fight Demetrius Andrade because he wants to become champion. And Andrade is a champion. Now, Andrade now knows what it feels like for a lot of those guys that were avoiding him. Even though Andrade was a champion, and I know he's not a champion. However, he's his mandatory. He's his mandatory, so you've got to fight your mandatory. You can't avoid mandatories, right? So when you say, well, it's okay for Demetrius to go and fight Chris Eubank. It's okay for Demetrius to go fight Chris Eubank because Chris Eubank's a bigger fight. More money, etc. I get all of that. Firstly, that's not going to happen because Eubank, he's offering Chris Eubank $1 million or whatever he said, over $1 million, which Eubank probably wouldn't even get out of bed for. I think Andrade's got to realize who Chris Eubank Jr. is and what family he comes from. Secondly, for me, Andrade put that fight out there to distract the fans because there's a lot of pressure on him. Because he's basically now being ordered to fight Janibek. So he's now calling out somebody which he knows that realistically is not going to happen. The only carrot that Andrade can have for Eubank is the world title. If Eubank decides to fight Andrade, it won't be for a world title. If it's not for a world title, why the hell does Chris Eubank want to fight Demetrius Andrade? It's not like Andrade's a superstar where he's going to be bringing so much money to the table. He's not a Canelo where he'd fight Canelo without a belt. Andrade doesn't bring that. So going back to Demetrius Andrade, the Eubank option isn't there. So what other option is there? He's got a dangerous mandatory challenger, a guy that potentially a lot of people think can beat Demetrius Andrade, right? Let's go back to what I was talking about earlier. when Charlo, Canelo, and all those guys look at Andrade, they look at him the same way as Andrade's looking at Janibek. The only difference is that Andrade was a champion. But at the end of the day, why do they care about, like, if I'm Charlo and I'm getting paid a lot of money, which Charlo is, and just say Charlo's getting paid 4 million to fight Selecki, right? He's not gonna fight Andrade for 6 million. For 2 million extra, it'd have to be crazy money, and that Charlo Andrade fight isn't that big a fight. So this is the thing. They look at Andrade the same way. High risk, low reward, really. And people say, well, Canelo got offered 40 million to fight Andrade. 40 million's nothing. Canelo's getting more than that now. Probably for every fight. So the point I'm trying to make is when people criticize a Canelo, Charlo, Andrade is now in a position where he was the one that's being he's the one that's being avoided. He's the one that's being ducked. Majority of his career, he was being ducked. He was being avoided. But now he's the one that's doing the avoiding. And Dan, you can't then, because you're an Andrade fan, vouch up for Andrade. But at the same time, then you pointed out, Imran, blame the sport, don't blame his team and blame Andrade. Okay, so in that case, I am blaming the sport, but Andrade's also part of the problem. Because Andrade's not giving Janibek his opportunity. He's been messing Janibek around for almost a year. Janibek got ordered to fight Andrade previously, and he then said he was going to move up to 168. He was going to move up to 168 because he couldn't make weight. This is what we heard. He's now coming back down to 160. So now we know that was all rubbish, that he wasn't struggling to make weight because he's now back down at 160. He just couldn't secure a big fight at 168. So he's now back down at 160. And the fight's been reordered, and he's looking now to fight another guy or fight Chris Eubank and not fight Janibek. I don't have a problem if he fights Eubank. Don't have a problem. He'll lose his belt, which is the only value that Andrade has at this moment. The only value Andrade has, he's not a star. He's unknown. So the only real value Demetrius Andrade has, Dan, is the fact that he holds a belt and he's a world champion. Once you take that away from people, don't even fight Andrade with a belt. Imagine what it would be like without a belt. This is what I don't think, Dan, some Andrade fans seem to understand, that he's not going to get, it's going to be even harder for him without a belt. Dan, you also made another point where you said if he can't secure a fight, he should rather retire than fight Janibek. Now, to me, that's what you're saying is that I would rather see him retire than take a dangerous fight with Janibek and potentially lose, because of the fact that if Andrade retires now, you can stick with the narrative, the fact that Andrade was the most avoided fighter ever and nobody wanted to get in the ring with him. But that's not true, because there is a guy that wants to get in the ring with him. He may not be a big name, but he's a good fighter and he's dangerous and a fighter that a lot of people think can beat Andrade. So the point I'm trying to make is the point that you're trying to make is the way Canelo, Charlo look at Andrade, right, is the exact same way Andrade is looking at Janibek. The difference is Canelo Alvarez, fair enough, we'll accept the fact that he avoided Demetrius Andrade. Canelo Alvarez wanted to be undisputed champion, and you pointed out that Canelo was one belt away at 160 or 154, I can't remember which way, where he was one belt away from being undisputed, or at 160, and then he went and fought Kovalev. The fact of the matter is, at that time, Kovalev was a bigger name than Andrade. Kovalev is a more credible fighter than Andrade. What made Andrade more credible? Kovalev, irrespective whether he was past his best, he was a world champion and he's a more proven fighter, a better fighter. He will go down an all-time great. Andrade, if he retires now, doesn't go down an all-time great. Kovalev goes down as a great fighter. Andrade at this point doesn't. So the point I'm trying to make is, or I would say this, a much more recognized fighter, accomplished fighter. Kovalev will go down a much more accomplished fighter than Demetrius Andrade. So on your resume, it looks a lot better having Kovalev on there. But coming back to that, Canelo achieved what he wanted to achieve of becoming undisputed because he did it at 168. Andrade's goal is to fight somebody that's an elite fighter, that's a big name. He's yet to achieve that. He's yet to get a big name in the ring. So like, he either has two things: vacate or he could retire. But why would he retire? He's not that old. It'd be silly for him to retire. So that's the point I'm making. I feel like Demetrius Andrade is a very good fighter. His team, I don't know, his team has done a very poor job. A very poor job. I don't know who's behind him, but they have done a poor job. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, he's been avoided. And yeah, the boxing game is to blame. Yes, I get that, Dan. You're right. The boxing game is to blame, but we can't keep going over that over and over again. The fact is that Andrade is doing the same thing to Janibek that other people do to him. But yet, because you're an Andrade fan, you don't feel sorry for Janibek. The fact that that man's been messed around. Janibek's, I think he's old. He's in his 30s as well. He's looking for an opportunity as well, and he's a hell of a fighter. But yet you feel sorry for Andrade because you like Andrade, but you don't feel sorry for Janibek. He's in the same position. Nobody wants to fight him because he's dangerous and he doesn't bring the money. He's in that same position. He's dangerous. And that's the point I'm trying to make, is that now the shoe's on the other foot. A lot of Andrade fans don't want him to fight Janibek, because they know it's a dangerous fight. But there is no other better option out there for him. Andrade has to fight Janibek. There isn't any other fight out there. Because if he vacates, his credibility is finished. He's finished if he vacates. If Andrade vacates, he's finished. All that stuff about him being the most avoided fighter, finished. All rubbished. His legacy is... what people think of him, which is not great right now, is not great. A lot of people don't have a great opinion in boxing about Andrade. He's a very good fighter, I'll accept. I actually rate Andrade. I think he's a very good fighter. And I've openly said I think he beats a lot of guys. But if he vacates against Janibek and he doesn't secure a big name, his credibility, he's like finished. It's finished. He might as well retire. I'm telling you, if he vacates against doesn't fight Janibek, he might as well retire. Because I think his credibility will be totally tarnished. You know, like I said, Charlo and Canelo look at Andrade the same way, irrespective of whether he holds a belt. A belt don't mean anything to guys like that. What does a belt mean to Charlo or belt mean to Canelo? They've got making millions. They're making a lot of money. You know, and someone like Canelo, Charlo I can understand because Charlo's fought, not his level of opposition has been poor, but Canelo's fought champions back to back. Whether you think those champions, like, what has Andrade got? Andrade's hold the WBO at 154 and the WBO at middleweight, right? Billy Joe was a champion at 2 weight classes. Callum Smith was a champion. He held a belt just like Andrade did. Andrade's never been a unified champion. You know, what's his name? The geezer, Caleb Plant held the IBF. You know, they're all the same. What's the difference? What's Andrade got that those guys didn't have? The point I'm trying to tell you is this: is that Andrade at this point is backed into a corner. I made a video when this got ordered that he's backed into a corner because he has nowhere to go. So you're right, Dan. If he doesn't fight Janibek, he might as well retire because there isn't anywhere for him to go. He'll lose his belt. He'll lose credibility, and there's nothing for him. Like, so this is what I'm trying to say. I'm actually speaking for the good of Andrade. I think Andrade should fight Janibek now. And even Christian, who's a big Andrade fan, right, is saying that he should fight Janibek. Because there's nothing better. There's nothing out there. Benavidez fight ain't going to happen. There isn't any other fight out there. So the fact that you keep saying that he's only got 12 fights is irrelevant. He could have 4 fights. But the fact of the matter is that the boxing fans, the hardcore boxing fans, view him as a threat to Demetrius Andrade. They view him as a threat. So if Andrade is as good as people like you think, Dan, and people like Christian think he is, right? And I actually think he's good. I think he'll beat Janibek. But the point I'm trying to make is, it's not about what me think, what I and what you and what Christian or what anybody else thinks. He's got to go in there and prove it, because there's people out there that think that Janibek beats him. So if he avoids this fight, people will say he avoided this fight because of the fact that he knew that Janibek was a tough fight and Janibek would beat him. The same thing with Kell Brook. Kell Brook was here in the UK fighting a lot of lower level fighters. And Kell Brook's are completely different to Andrade, because Kell Brook beat Sean Porter to win the world title. Then he fought a load of nobodies, to mandatory challenges. As soon as the Errol Spence fight got mentioned as a mandatory, there was, trying to avoid him. I want to get the Khan fight. I want this, that. And he was doing everything he could do under the sun to avoid him. Eventually, he had no choice. He had to fight him because there was nothing else better out there. Khan didn't come to the table. Nothing else was better for Kell Brook at that point. So he had to fight Errol Spence. But Kell fought him. Andrade needs to do the same. Otherwise, I feel his legacy will be hurt. That's just my opinion. I think if he doesn't fight Janibek, I think that he's already not held in very high regards by the boxing fans. I think he'll be even lesser off. And I think there won't be anywhere for him to go. I think he'll be finished. I think he'll lose his belt. His career will be over because he's too old now. And nobody wants to fight him anyway. So for the good of himself, he needs to fight Janibek. Even more so than Eubank. Eubank's just a payday. But this is a fight to get future big fights. He keeps himself in the recognition. Without the belt, he's not even in the reckoning for big fights. No one's going to fight Andrade if he doesn't hold that belt. If he holds the belt, he still has some kind of marketability. Loses the belt, nothing. Done. That's my take, guys. Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.